Hi, this is going to be a daily experience video. Um, I'm very much into publishing and printing books, and I'm quite um, drained by work in a good sense. Like I have to work a lot, and I experience God in the best possible way. Like many times my routine of like contemplation and silent time goes out of the window. Like I just can't keep my favorite daily routine, and there is so much grace for that. Like sometimes I feel like, okay, I can't keep my prayer time, I'm gonna survive this somehow, and then I just, after like correcting mistakes in a text of hundreds of pages, all of a sudden I just find myself like opening up to God and feeling like worshiping. And I'm like, where did it come from? I certainly didn't pay for it with my time and attention. And and then I laugh at myself. Like I didn't know how much I believed that my time and attention towards God's presence pays for the presence of God. I always said and I always thought, like, okay, at least in the last couple of years, you can't pay for it. It's free of charge. It's always available. But now that I can't keep my silent time and my daily routine, I feel like, okay, now I might have less of the presence of God. And and it shocks me, like, oh, how much I am not right. And it fills me with so much joy. It's so liberating to realize that I'm not right. For a long time, I had to prove to myself and to others that I'm right. And now it's so much joy to realize that I'm basically not right about anything. Like, I have no clue how the presence of God works. All I know that it's worth everything, and I would give my all for it. And God is like, so great that you came to this realization that you want to give everything and you finally see that it's worth everything. But I don't need anything of you. Like, I have so much more of everything that you could give me. I don't need what you have. It's something similar, like to the Old Testament sacrifices, when God said, like, I don't need your sacrifices, but if you really want, like, you can do it, but I'm not really fond of that thing. Okay, it's not my thing, it's your thing. If you need to do that, like, fine, do it, but it's not my pleasure. So it's the same, but I felt like you give your time and attention and you kind of try to pay for my joy and peace. If that's what you want, you can do it. Like, if it makes you finally receive my joy and peace, it's fine by me. At least you receive my joy and peace after you've done all of those things. Fine. But hi, now you can't pay for it, and it's available just the same because it wasn't available to you then, because you've done the right things, and now that you can't do the right things, it's still available because it wasn't about that back then, and it's not about that right now. Okay? Here's my joy and love and peace free of charge, and it's so good. Sometimes, like, it's like the tasks are like rolling over me, and by the time I wake up, like, everything is already going on. And when I'm scrolling late at night and my eyes are like falling off of my face, that's what I would say in Hungarian. I don't know if it makes sense in English. So it's like I'm totally tired. And then I felt like I'm in the center of God's love. And I don't know why. And I didn't realize that I made my attention and my time a heavenly currency by which I pay for God's presence. And now I can really see it. Like, I thought God needs those things. Secretly, and in the back of my mind, I thought God needs those things. And He doesn't. Sometimes He's like, oh, you want to give me everything? I don't need that. I give back to you. And to be clear, if you haven't given your all to God, the best thing you can do is to give as much time and attention to God as possible. That's the best for you. But if you have already given your all to God and your heart is set towards Him, He's like, oh no, I don't need anything. Just receive. And it's funny because He had given those things free, even when we felt like we only received those blessings on a condition. Like after we prayed enough, or after we spent enough time in silence, or after we had our prayer routine, and after we had whatever spiritual practice. And He is like, I'm okay doing those things with you if you receive from me through them, but you can receive from me without them. And sometimes it's God who flips our world upside down. Of course, He doesn't do anything harmful to us, but when life comes to a place that everything is on its head and you can't keep up with anything, and let's be honest, life does come to those points when everything flips upside down. And it's so great. Because God is like, oh yeah, now you will see that the rules by which you live your life are made of rules. They are not of me. I'm giving everything without your prayer life, without your routine, without anything. Yeah. So it's so great. Like after working a lot of time, I just suddenly find myself so filled with joy and so filled with peace. And it's funny that now I can't like delay anything. Like, okay, at night I will have my prayer time, or next morning I will have my. I know I won't. Only the present moment is what I have with God. So while I'm doing my work, if I feel that like opening up of my heart towards God, this is the time. This is the 5 second, the 5 minute that I can spend with God. And sometimes I can receive more in those times. I can like experience more peace and joy as if I had my hours of prayer, silent time or worship or whatever. So funny. And I can't delay it. Like, okay, at night I will have some time with you. Now I'm doing my thing. No, only time I have is that, okay, now I feel like worshiping. This verse is mine. This verse is ours. And then I need to continue and I don't know what comes like in the afternoon. So if I have that 5 minutes, maybe this 5 minutes is all I can have with you now. So it's very precious. And yeah, it's so great to like, and sometimes I have to like, um, I feel like I should stop doing my work because I feel like if I continued pushing it on, I wouldn't enjoy it. And God wants me to enjoy it. Like sometimes God is like, you should have rest in me now so that you will be aware of me in that task. So that you won't experience it as something that is hard, but something that is fun. So just have some rest in me now, and then it's gonna be just fine, and you will enjoy it more. So yeah, so sometimes I have to stop things, and I feel like every time I feel like it's really a burden and I really don't enjoy it, that's the sign for me like, okay, maybe I should go back to the rest of God and then continue it. But my regular routine is all messed up, so I can't keep up with that. And there's so much I can learn from this situation. Like it's sometimes God flips our lives upside down with a purpose. I didn't know I trusted my daily routine that much. I didn't think it meant that much to me. And now that I don't have it, I realize that I secretly believe that God is not that available to me now. And of course, it's a lie. And it's so good to tangibly experience that it is not how it is in God's kingdom. That you pay for the presence of God. Not even with your time, not even with your attention. Yes. And there is always grace for what is going on. So sometimes we try to like, what if that happens? Like, oh God, make it disappear, make it not happen. And we allow the enemy, or we allow our own minds or ego like to blackmail us and manipulate us like, oh, do everything to prevent that scenario, make everything to avoid that, this shouldn't happen, make all your efforts to prevent this. And what I realized is that all the situations that are here and now can receive the grace that is needed for them. So you can't receive grace for a problem that is not real, that is not here and now. You can't receive a solution from God for a scenario in your head. Like you can't receive the grace for a situation that is an illusion, that is not here and now. So the what if and what if it didn't happen, what if it will happen, those things cannot receive the grace of God. The only situation that can and will receive the grace of God that you are in, and that what you are in will always receive the grace of God. And by grace, I think it's like divine solution, peace and joy and endurance and everything that is needed for you to go through it. And for a long time, all my thoughts, and sometimes other people could like really manipulate me with those made up scenarios. Most of the time my own mind was manipulating me, and blackmailing me, like, you should really make this thing uh, impossible, like this is the scenario and you have to do everything to make it not come true. And for a long time I was a bit obsessed with like this martyrdom thing. Like, am I ready to like die for God? And I looked into myself and I realized that I'm not. Like, I'm grumpy when someone tries to speak to me before 11 a.m. Like, I'm not that tough. I'm not the weakest person, I think, emotionally, but I'm also not the toughest. So if I really look into myself, I don't find that heroic let's die for Jesus thing. And I was some long ago, I was stressing about this. Like, I'm not ready to die for God. Like, I really should be. And after a while, I just had this realization that I always had grace for the situations in my life that I had. Like, all the situations, no matter how unpleasant or crazy they were, I always had grace for them. So if I will have crazy and unpleasant situations in the future, and if they really happen, I will receive the grace needed for them right when they happen. So if I have to die for God, then at that point, when it happens, I will have the courage and endurance and peace and whatever that is needed for it. And since then, I'm so much less manipulatable, if that's a word. Not for other people, not for my own mind, not for the enemy. Like, I'm no longer that much to be manipulated. Like, if that happens, fine. I will have grace for it when it happens. Like, when Daniel's friends are thrown in to the fire, it wasn't like the situation was prevented. Like, the fire didn't get distinguished, the king didn't change his mind, um, they didn't disappear supernaturally. Like, they did get into the fire, and there was grace for that. And if those bad scenarios that sometimes play in our head do happen, there will be grace for it. So those three guys that in the Bible story, that God could deliver us, but even if He didn't, it's fine. And now I have this attitude when anything tries to manipulate me into trying to prevent a certain scenario, is that if that even if that happens, there will be grace for it. Like, all the real situations have grace from God to deal with them. So if it really happens, there will be a real grace for it. So it's fine. And we try to think about it like in advance, like what we will do and how terrible it will be and how much we won't have grace for it, like how much we won't have the money, won't have the resources, won't have the peace, won't have the joy for it. And we imagine that. And actually, it's not the situation that we are afraid of, it's what we might feel and experience through it. And now I have this I don't know, this assurance in me, not all the time, but most of the time, that if that happens, the grace that is needed for it will also happen. So if I get up grumpy and I'm terribly um, uh, sensitive about the pillow I'm sleeping on, by the time I have to like stand up for my faith and die for it, I will have the grace for it. And maybe, just maybe, some of those people who became martyrs, they might have kicked the little kitten a couple of weeks before because they were impatient. Maybe, just maybe, they also received the grace for that situation right on the spot. But even if they were that tough their whole life, it's the grace of God too. Like, I'm so happy. I don't want to lower the bar. If they were that tough their whole lives, it's the glory of God. I'm so proud of them. All I'm saying is that whatever grace is needed for what I will really face, I will have it, and you will have it. And publishing the book. Okay, I went so far. I'm not saying publishing the book is equivalent of being thrown into a fiery pit. Okay, that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that it can happen, and it will happen, that life puts us into an uncomfortable situation or challenging situation, and they can be that small as like publishing a book and as big as being thrown into a fiery pit. It does not matter in that sense that you will have grace for it when it happens. And this is what I experience now. And it's very liberating. And I know that it will happen to you as well. You are loved. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening to random things that are on my heart right now. And don't let your mind say to you that you can only have the presence of God on a condition of whatever. And if you realize that you think those conditions are real, you can laugh at it. Like, you can laugh at yourself. Like, do I really think that God will give his joy after I do this and that? Who do I think he is? Who do I think I am that I can change his mind into giving things to me if he wasn't about giving them to me? It's so funny to laugh at myself, how ridiculous things I think about God and how his kingdom works. And after you laughed at yourself, just lay back and know that you can receive anything from God right now without meeting any of those made up conditions in your mind. God bless you. You're loved.